Is the golden age of YouTube over? Or are we still inside of it? That is kind of an interesting question to think about. Because truthfully, I actually don't have an answer to this. And I thought it'd be a little bit interesting to explore the topic, talk about it a bit, and see where we land. YouTube's been around for a while. I've pretty much grown up with it, as a lot of other people have. And over the years, there's been tons of changes. There were times when YouTube was really, really cool, and there was things you could find on this platform that was just so awesome. I remember there being a small time period where I was really into music and finding new bands. And this was probably around 2010, 2011. And I stumbled across this one indie band. I think it was called The Cults. I believe it was called The Cults. And I watched the video. I really liked the song. And then the next recommended video was another little indie band. And I watched that video and I liked that song. The next recommended video was another indie band. I watched that one. I liked that song. And it kept going and going and going. And I went down this rabbit hole for like 10 to 30 videos and found a whole bunch of new awesome music that was all independent indie artists. And they were all really good bands that I really ended up liking and ended up adding to my library and still listen to occasionally now today. And then a change in the algorithm happened, and I never found that rabbit hole ever again. The recommendations changed, and for a brief moment in time, there was just this beautiful string of awesome music that I was able to find and discover that I ended up sharing with my friends. It was fantastic. I remember that being one of my biggest heights of being on YouTube at the time. YouTube has had a very troublesome history with music. A lot of creators have uploaded songs, and with the copyright violations and copyright strikes, their channels have gotten deleted, demonetized. Creators I used to absolutely adore no longer are around. There was this one creator I remember watching. I used to be really into Minecraft and Roblox at the time. I was a teenager. And there was this YouTube creator called XX Immortal Mage XX. I think that was the name. He might be around and back again. I haven't searched for a while. But he would post music, and it was very like obscure songs no one had ever really heard of before by really small artists. Often like in the electronic D&B drum and bass genre of music, with like there was a lot of other genres. There wasn't just drum and bass. It was like electronica. I'm trying to remember the other genres, but it's just not coming to me at the moment. But it was a really cool channel, and I remember discovering so many awesome banger songs on his channel. I loved it. It was great. It was phenomenal. I had discovered so much music through his channel that I don't listen to as much today, but it was a very, very unique, special genre, and he had a very specific taste, and I loved his taste in music. It was just fantastic. And listening to all these songs that he had uploaded, there would be like a anime graphic in the background. It was awesome. I loved it. I there's still a couple songs I can recall in my library today. Little Oranges by B Complex, I think, is one of them. It's just it was a really cool vibe. And I remember that being like a really awesome time where YouTube was not cracking down on copyright, was not cracking down on creators uploading songs. It was just amazing. There was just so much creative freedom for creators. And there was like little niche communities you could find, and it was just fantastic. I adored it so much. And his channel eventually got deleted. All his videos got taken down. He was completely removed off YouTube, and for years everybody, there were so many people who were like, what happened to XX Immortal Mage XX? Like, there was a lot of people who were wondering what happened to his YouTube channel. There was tons of people who really enjoyed it and loved it, and it was gone. And it was sad because now we didn't have an outlet for someone to share that music anymore. There was no one who could share new music that kind of came out in that very niche subgenre of electronic music, which I still to this day don't even know how do I correctly describe this genre. There's another artist, musical artist, I believe his name is, this is either the name of the song or the name of the artist, called Angel Voices. And it's like a very fast, hard-hitting electronics type of music. It's got like high energy. It's kind of like drum and bass, but kind of not. It's almost its own thing. And yeah, there was just this era of music that was just so good, and I miss it so much. And so when I think back on the golden era of YouTube, I often think about this little time period where you could share music and it was just no problem. You could upload whatever song you wanted to onto your channel and you wouldn't be penalized for it. And then things changed and they started cracking down. And then there was, challenges for creators when it came to the monetization wave. Suddenly people learned that you could make money on YouTube. And then there was problems where, so many creators had to be compliant with the YouTube restrictions, like you couldn't swear on your videos, or, there's certain things you couldn't include. And it was very easy for you to get a channel strike or demonetized, or your channel get deleted. That's always been the case. At the end of the day, this has always been YouTube's platform. As a creator, you are always under the constant threat of your channel being one day just deleted overnight, which is kind of sad. And like, even if you're compliant within the rules, you can just get caught in the crossfire of some algorithm update or some moderation crackdown, and suddenly your channel's gone. So it's sad because unless you have an audience built up on multiple platforms, everything can just kind of be over, and that's it. And, creators can sympathize with this because they know the stress of creating and the stress of maintaining a channel. But most viewers who have never had a channel or have ever uploaded videos will never really be able to sympathize because they don't really have, maybe sympathize, but not empathize, because they don't really have the same experience. Unless they've seen one of their favorite creators just disappear, and then they'll be really upset. That's usually when they get a little bit up in arms about like, hey, the YouTube algorithm is broken, or something's wrong about the moderation. But I'm not trying to just sit here and criticize the YouTube platform. I understand they are a very large company. They have a massive challenge with moderation, and there's people who upload they upload content that shouldn't be on this platform, that shouldn't even really be on the internet in general. Like, and that's talking about more like bad things people shouldn't upload in general or take videos of. That kind of moderation, yeah, we need that. There's things that shouldn't be on the platform for sure. But it is a shame in a way where if you want to create something with music, there's so many copyrights around it. And you can understand it too. Like, creative artists don't want their music being distributed in ways they cannot control. But it does feel like the music industry or the entertainment industry in general can be very predatory on creators, and creators who may be fine with their music being shared and used on videos can have their, like, just because the licensing they partnered with, the producers they're working with, or the industry that promotes their music has all these restrictions around them, and it can hurt other creators. So there's a bit of a catch-22, and it's a challenging situation, and it's kind of the world we live in, so there's not much that can be done about it at the moment. But even now, I mean, like, I look at YouTube, and like, in today's day and age, it's interesting to think about the direction it's taking. I remember about 6 years ago, before shorts were a thing, and TikTok was starting to come around. TikTok, like, there was Vine before TikTok, and so Vine was big, and then Vine disappeared, and then TikTok came around, and then suddenly, it took over. But there was a small period when TikTok had just launched, and people were starting to like, it was starting to get like traction. YouTube didn't have shorts yet, and there was this massive space where if you were a YouTube creator and you had a TikTok account, you could use your TikTok account and promote your YouTube channel. And because TikTok was like trying to grow its audience fast, it would give you so many views on your videos. So you could just like promote your video on TikTok and direct it to your YouTube channel, and you would get tons and tons and tons of views. And I used to do that, and it worked really well. And I actually got I had a previous channel before this. I had grown my channel really fast with that method. It was just right place, right time. It did, like, my content wasn't anything special. It was just content. And it worked really well. And I also think that was a good period of YouTube in a way, but that was more of just a transition into the short form content phase we're in now. Now it's like there's all these bite-sized pieces of information in terms of short form content, but you never always get the full context behind the discussion. And it's funny when you clip something, without that full context beforehand, like so many clips just get taken out of context. And like, someone will think you're arguing a point that is completely not what you're arguing or saying at all. I've already had this happen on my channel a lot because I clip my content. I clip it because A, I'm trying to promote my long form content, and B, I'm also trying to cater to people who do like short form content. And I've clipped videos where I'll be making a point about something, and someone will think that I am saying the opposite, and then they'll get upset that they think I'm saying the opposite, and then they'll write this really long, detailed comment about how wrong I am, and I'm like, no, I agree with you. Like, this is actually what I'm trying to say. You just didn't get full context. So it's a weird kind of situation to be in. And I mean, this obviously creates engagement and boosts that video so other people see it, but then other people also will think the same thing. So it's very easy for your content to get taken out of context, and then suddenly people think you're saying something else when in reality you're saying something completely different. But that's only a minor problem when it comes to short form content. In general, it is like bite-sized pieces of information, and it does make you wonder, like, are you really getting anything out of it when you watch it? Like, occasionally I'll watch a short. Depends who the creator is, and I'll be really glad I watched that short because it'll give me an idea that I want to incorporate or I like to think about and chew on. And I'm glad I watched it. However, as soon as I watch that short, I get hit with the next short, which is like, a completely different idea, and it's jarring to your brain because the first idea you got, you didn't really get to sit with and let it marinate inside your head before you switch to the next idea. And the next idea is something completely irrelevant or different. And now you have a new idea to marinate with inside your head. And by the time you finish that short, you now have a new idea. And so you have this backlog of ideas you never actually got to sit with and think about and internalize and consider, like, how will this idea change my life for better or worse if I, incorporate it into my life? Because you just get hit with the next idea. You never really get the full marinated experience of, should I apply this in my life? Would it work? Would it not work? And, you don't get to step away from that space. And you also don't get a further explanation from the short, because sometimes that short can be clipped from a piece of long form content, and then you don't get the either the justification or the explanation as to why you may want to consider doing this thing. And that justification, that explanation, can also help you marinate the idea in your head. So this is basically my own, explanation of why I like long form content better, because I think you can get more value out of it. But short form content can be useful. I'm not saying it's not. It's just like, after you watch a short, you're almost better off, if it presented an idea to you, you're almost better off pausing that short and like letting it like letting yourself think about it for a while, or just leaving the platform and going off and doing something else, and then thinking about that idea instead of hitting yourself with another idea and another idea and another idea, because you're going to have like all these new ideas. Your brain can only focus on so many things at a time. Your brain has the capacity to explore one rabbit hole at a time. It can't do multi-threading, which is like multiple rabbit holes at the same time. I don't think anyone's brain can do that. A computer can, but like even a computer's resources get spread thin when it starts doing multi-threading. So is short form content good? I don't know. It's hard to say. If you're using it for entertainment only, I think it's a different story. You're just looking for a laugh, or, you're looking for, something slightly interesting to watch because you liked what it's showing you. But I think short form content does fall short, unintended, when we're talking about like presenting information to people. And because if you have a short form content feed that's like all new information, like whether you're trying to learn something in a specific field, and you have a lot of those creators you follow, when you keep getting hit with idea after idea there, it's gonna be hard for you to take that all in. But we talked a lot about short form content, and I don't know. I think YouTube in its state now, is it a golden age? It might still be, because maybe there's people out there now that are discovering YouTube for the first time, kids or, teenagers who are starting to get onto the internet because their parents now suddenly allowed them to. And, they're experiencing YouTube, and they're experiencing this world of information and finding neat things that they like and discovering new hobbies. So maybe for them, it's a golden age. Maybe the golden age is relative to the person experiencing it. And for myself, after being on YouTube for is it 20 years, 15 years at minimum? I've seen a lot of ups and downs with the platform. I've watched a lot of content over my lifetime, and it's changed what I've been interested in. I don't know. Are we in a golden age now? I wouldn't say so. It's hard to say. If, as a new creator, do you get tons of views, and do people watch your videos? You can make really good videos and no one might watch them. There's also this massive saturation of the amount of content that exists within YouTube. That number keeps increasing day after day. It's hard to say if today is a better time. Maybe it was closer to the launch time of YouTube, where, YouTube was still pretty, new kid on the block. That might have been the golden age, where people were like, oh man, this is so cool, and you can upload anything you want and people can watch it. It looked a lot different back then. Algorithm acted differently as well. Today, it feels like everything is so hyper polished. Every video is super well dialed in. The cinematography, from the audio, the information is condensed, and and then there's the slop as well, and then there's the videos that aren't very good, that are just what is this I'm watching? So you have a range of content. There's pretty much everything on here. And it depends what you watch and like to watch, and that's what you're going to get recommended more of. The YouTube algorithm is pretty good at figuring out what you like to watch, and it'll keep feeding you that. So if you're complaining about the YouTube algorithm, you're essentially complaining about your own tastes, which is a bit funny. But I would say that the algorithm in its current state is actually pretty good. I think it does feed people content that they want to watch, or at least they stay watching. But on another hand, it also feels kind of predatory towards viewers, because everything now is hook, line, and sinker. In other words, YouTube is heavily pushing you as a creator towards creating a video that has a really interesting hook in the beginning of the video, a really interesting title, and a really well-crafted thumbnail. So we call this presentation, or wrapping your gift, or wrapping your present, or content. And That is so incredibly important on this platform that it will make or break your YouTube channel. I don't spend a lot of time on the hook or on the thumbnail or on the title. I don't, because I want to just keep making videos. I don't want to obsess over it and over optimize. I would rather have made a new video than spend however long it takes me to craft a really good title, hook, thumbnail. And then on top of that is your content engaging? Does it tell a story? And does it keep people wanting to stay? I'm not very good at this yet. I can tell stories occasionally, but my storytelling ability is not that good. It needs a lot of work. This is an area that I am willfully working on. I would love to get better at storytelling. I would really love to enjoy the process of telling better stories. So I hope that through enough effort and time of making videos, I improve my storytelling ability. But I definitely need to go explore how to do that in a better way. And maybe I should read some books on storytelling, because that could be a pretty useful resource. But like I said, title, thumbnail, hook, those are basically the three things that will make or break your YouTube channel. If you don't have those three things dialed in, it's pretty hard to be successful on this platform right now. There are other ways. I mean, you can make like a variety of different content. There's people who make channels where they're just sleeping and people will watch it. So there is a space for pretty much every single type of content on this platform, which does in a way make YouTube really great. I mean, so far this channel has gotten over 400 subscribers. I don't know how. I've never asked anyone to subscribe. You guys have all done it of your own volition. And I'm grateful that you're here if you're watching this video and have made it this far, even though I am aware that I have talked circularly about shorts for a while and probably lost a few viewers there. I'm grateful for that audience. And I'm grateful there's people who do enjoy some of these videos, even though they probably don't enjoy every single one. There is an audience for pretty much anything. So if you are a creator or you're thinking about creating and you're really not sure if anyone's going to watch your videos, you'll probably be surprised. There are people who will watch it, and the algorithm will still push your videos out. Just it won't push them out to a really massive audience. It's going to be a small audience, and it's going to be a small audience consistently until the algorithm trusts you that it can push you out to a massive audience. And the creators that get massive audiences are creators like Mr. Beast, who are really good at keeping your attention because they keep your curiosity throughout a video. And so this is where I see the challenge and problem of YouTube now is just because a video is promoted on the homepage of YouTube, like a Mr. Beast video, it doesn't necessarily mean that video is good. I mean, good subjective. But like if it keeps your curiosity, it means that the video performs well. But a video performing well and a video being good are two different things. It kind of depends on what the intent of the video is. Like, is it, for example, a movie? Okay, let's look at it from this perspective. The movie Dune, really good movie, really fun movie. It's a science fiction movie. They've remade it. The remake was good. It's got, I forget his name, Timothée Chalamet as the main actor. Dune's a fun movie. I loved watching part 1 and in part 2. It was good. Well, I liked part 1 more than part 2, but anyway, I digress. It was a good movie, but it's a slow burn movie. It's not just keeping your attention from A to Z. It's got a massive budget, and there's all these crazy science fiction effects happening in the movie. It's really impressive. So by most measures, that's mostly what keeps people watching, is for the next big spectacle, like when the giant sandworm comes out of the dune, or like, the explosions and the war that's happening in the movie. It's really cool to watch. But a lot of the movie is just build up to those moments. It's a slow burn. A YouTube video is different than a movie in the sense that unless it has big spectacles to show you, keeping your curiosity is a challenge, because a YouTube video can be a slow burn and there's no like real payoff or reward, like where there's going to be explosions and a giant sandworm coming out of the dune. Maybe if you somehow manage to make special effects like that people really want to watch. This is not a great comparison. I don't think I'm really making a really good, wrap up of my point I'm trying to make here. People will sit through long, boring content. Not everybody will, but a lot of people will. But it does feel like that if you do want to have a really large audience, you're going to need to make content that is hyper engaging in terms of like, I can't look away. And I feel like content like that, it feels unfair in a way. Like, not as a creator, like complaining to another creator, but like unfair to like the human experience. It's like you're getting hijacked into this like content matrix where you're like forced to watch because it's like taking over your brain. Unfair. I guess that's the best way to put it. It feels like a lot of content is so much exploiting the human psyche that it's not like made for the purpose of art. It's made for the purpose of exploiting other people. And I think that's something I don't like about YouTube right now, or content in general. It feels like we are exploiting human beings for views and subscribers and watch time. And that's partially why I just make content like I do here, where it's not very good some days because I do talk in circles, or I go down a rabbit hole, or I don't properly explain my point, or don't stay focused on the topic. What did we start talking about? The golden age of YouTube. Am I talking about the golden age of YouTube? No. Well, maybe this is related to that. Maybe this is just a sub point in there. Maybe I'm just talking into a microphone and seeing where this is going to go. But yeah, it's hard to say if there was a golden age, when that was, for how long it was, and if we're in that now. I think ultimately the answer to this question is going to be relative. There's some pretty great things about YouTube today, and there's some pretty bad things about it. And you could say the same thing about YouTube 10 years ago. There would just be different things that would be good and bad about it. I suppose the question really comes down to, how do you define a golden age? And maybe that would be best defined by the amount of people that enjoy YouTube as a platform for watching content. And not only the amount of people who enjoy it, but the depth of their enjoyment. And that second metric is pretty hard to measure. There isn't really a number that says like how much you enjoy this video versus the other video. You can't there's no like gradient, If I like this video and I like another video, I can't like that video more than I like this video. A like is a like. So that metric's hard to measure. But the amount of enjoyment people get from YouTube, I suppose that would be measured by how many people are on the platform today. There's millions of creators creating, and there's a lot of people watching. And YouTube has overtaken cable television and radio and pretty much the video game industry in general. Like, it is probably, at least we'll say, maybe not just YouTube, but social media in general is the number one entertainment metric for most human beings in the Western world. And I should say not in the Western world, the developed world. So are we in a golden age? I guess you could say so. But how do you define a golden age? And I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm curious, if you did watch this video and you're here at the end, what are your thoughts on this topic? What would you say about the whole idea of, was YouTube ever in a golden age? Do you think it's in one now? What do you think about shorts and how they affect YouTube in general and people's brains in general? Do you think they're good? Do you think it's good that shorts exist? Or do you think that the internet would be better off without shorts? Or does it feel like it was just a necessary evolution of content? we covered a lot of topics in this video, and this video had some very circular moments, some rabbit holes, and a lot of crazy places we went to. If you stuck around, I just want to say thank you. If you're subbed to this channel, I also want to say thank you. This channel has been a ride. I am trying to do my best to just deliver raw content, authentic content, content where I just talk into a microphone, and whatever comes out, comes out. And if you enjoy that, if that's something you like, please let me know in the comments below. I know some of you like this, some of you don't. So the people who don't have already left. But at any rate, thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Zen out.